Hey guys, welcome to You Fix It Garage. I'm Rusty, and in this video I'm going to show you how to remove all of the plastics off your CRF450L or RL and use the factory bolts to put back on. So one of the first things most people do when they get one of these bikes is they want to remove the plastics off the bike. The only problem with that is that there's spacers underneath those plastic pieces that make the factory bolts too long if you want to put them back on. So when you get the bike home from the dealership or from wherever and you want to take this stuff off, you've got to go and order new bolts to put back in those holes because those bolts hold on some of the covers and that sort of thing. So in this mod, I'm going to show you how to, for less than the cost of those bolts and for a readily available part, go and get a die set and thread the bolts yourself, cut them off, thread them yourself, and put the factory bolts back in the bike. Taking all these parts off is really pretty self-explanatory, and I'm not going to go into a bolt-by-bolt explanation of that. You can figure that out. What is important on this is where the bolts go back in and what length bolts go back in those holes. All right, so the bolts that you're dealing with on the motorcycle are 6mm. So that is the die that you're looking for. And once you've got your 6mm die, this is not a bolt that came out of the bike. It's just an example. But all you're going to do is lock your bolt into a vise or something like that, and then get it started on, the thread started on. And once you get the thread started on, it's really just a matter of threading down the bolt to the distance that you need. And then once the bolt is threaded, I used a metal cutting bandsaw to cut the bolt off and then filed the end flat so that it would screw back in. But you could use a Dremel tool to cut it off. Really anything to cut the bolt off to length. But what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to cut 3 bolts 28mm long, 1 bolt 30mm long, another one 35, 40, and then finally the last bolt 16. I'm going to put up a couple of diagrams. This first diagram here shows the left hand side of the bike that the sprocket is on, and you can see where the bolts go and in what sizes that you need for those particular holes. And then this next diagram, that's going to be the right hand side of the bike, and you can follow that diagram to put the bolts back in the correct holes and the correct length. This mod should take you an hour or less to thread the bolts and get them cut off and put back in your bike. It's really a pretty simple mod, and I think anybody can do it. Plus you benefit from having the kit of taps and dies in the future if you need those for future projects. And it also saves you from having to wait on getting the bolts in the mail. So guys, if you're finding my videos helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe, add some comments, and you guys have a great day and ride safe.